Hello, Merry Meet. This is going to be a tarot reading for DraoMhaigh. I think that's how the username is pronounced, but I'm not sure. I'm very bad at pronouncing things. Anyway, DraoMhaigh asks, and I'm actually not sure if DraoMhaigh is a woman or a man, but I just have a feeling it's a woman, so I'm going to say she. If I'm wrong, then I'm deeply apologizing. Anyway, DraoMhaigh asks how her future, how her occult and spiritual future will be. I'm going to be using the Cosmic Tarot and a simple horseshoe spread. Okay, now the first card in this layout stands for past events. And here we find the Magician. And in tune with your question, I just think this indicates your past as an occultist, spiritualist, and I think that it has been a very big part of your life so far. I get the feeling that you have been sort of like a ritualist, uh, and that you have gotten very deep into the study, and it's given you a lot. But I also think that perhaps you have been studying at times more than practicing, and that is something that bothers you a bit. That yes, of course, study is very important, but that getting out of that armchair and actually doing something, and that's a reference to armchair magicians, and I'm not saying that you are one, but basically when you study more than you practice, and basically for you, basically at times just getting, uh, it has been more studying than practicing, and that this is something that you might want to, that you have this considered changing. But at least that the occult and the spiritual is a very big part of your life and have been so in the past. And yeah, you have a very strong foundation there. Then we have the current situation, the present. And here we have the Ten of Pentacles. And I think that if it isn't money, then something else material has to a certain degree gotten in the way of your occult work. But that situation is clearing up now. That currently you have, I'm not saying that you're rich, I'm not saying that basically everything is roses and marshmallows, but that currently you have the situation that allows you to study, whatever that be a living situation, an economic situation, basically that things quite practically is looking up for your practice. That the situation now is quite positive, and it might be looking better than it has been for a while. I'm not completely sure, but I get this feeling it has been quite in a slump, and that slump can have been due to some practical thing. Now that can be money, or it could be having a job that's so demanding you haven't had time to practice, or it can be a living situation, anything. But that situation is evening out, and that things are looking a lot more positive when it comes to the pure practical part of practicing. Your practice is looking up currently. And then we have the card in the third position, and it is about your basic direct future. Now, I use different variations of the horseshoe spread for different people after what I feel like, but in this one, basically the third card is your direct future, basically. Um, and here we see the Three of Wands. Always seen this is a very positive card. I've seen it as a card that stands for new developments, new thoughts, getting a fresh start on things. As you can see, the woman is sitting, but at the same time she's stretching up for the sun, like a plant that grows out of the ground, a new plant. And I think this indicates that there are new energy in your practice. You're feeling very inspired. You want to start something new. It might be that this is a good time to start with some new form of practice. That perhaps you've been looking into some new divination system, or some new system of magic, or some new spiritual path to add to your practice. And that this is a very good time to start that. And that also it looks very positive. You are having drive to get things done, and it feels very much like a fresh start. And then we have on the fourth, which is basically your uh, attitudes about the situation, how you are feeling. And here we have the Princess of Cups. And it's a card that has very much to do with emotions. And I do feel that you are very much in a way of a dreamer. You have a very good imagination, and that you also feel very deeply about your spiritual work. And again, I get this card into a bit of the same feeling that I have with the first card, that you study and think about the occult more than you practice. And please don't take this as an insult, it's just what I get, and I can be completely wrong, so yeah. But yeah, I have this feeling that you might wish for and think about practicing and philosophize over it more than you actually practice. And but I feel that it is a very deep emotional need for you to practice. And of course, when the court cards come up, it often indicates a person. If I'm right and you're a woman, this will probably represent you and your feelings and emotions towards this. But it could also, if you are a man, represent a woman that is important to your practice and that you might have been looking for a partner to practice with. But generally, I feel this card means that you are thinking and philosophizing a lot of over magic, the occult, spirituality, and that you might be doing that more than practicing. Well then, on the fifth position we have others, influences, basically influences of others on your practice, and here we have judgment. Now, uh, I think this might tie in a little bit with your, with what I mentioned earlier, with your with difficulties with your practice. It could mean that you have had a problem with others judging you for your practice, and that it's been difficult. But it could be parents, it could be a spouse, it could be anyone that sort of holds you back because they might not exactly approve of your practice. On the other hand, I also feel very much that judgment stands for a new beginning. I mean, that's really what the card represents, the biblical idea of all the dead souls being called back, then being judged, and either side going on to their new life. So again, I get this feeling of renewal, that your practice has been a bit in a dump, but it's being renewed. It's basically things are falling into place also from this perspective of others' influences on it. Things are falling into place for you to dedicate more time, effort to your practice, and for it to be easier to practice for you. And then we have on the sixth card, we have obstacles. Basically, what is uh, making it difficult for your spiritual development. Here we have the Eight of Wands. And when this shows up like that, I almost get the feeling of somebody who's very, very energetic and it's might have a little bit of a problem concentrating. And like I said, it gets a bit of a conflicting image because I do feel that you're very studious. You do study a lot, that you're very knowledgeable about this. At the same time, I get a bit of a feeling that you might become a bit too energetic on it. That you have a problem just sitting down, doing the work, sticking with it to get results. That you might be a bit, new interesting thing, new interesting thing. And now I gave you the advice that this might be a time to bring something new into your practice. And I do still think that's important. But at the same time, I think that and I get a feeling, a little bit of a feeling like the number 5 in numerology. It is about a lot of energy and a drive to do something, but at the same time, that energy can be overpowering. So I feel that you should harness that energy, that drive, that enthusiasm, but at the same time cultivating patience and the ability to just stick to it and uh, just working through periods that can be a bit in the slope. And then, of course, we have the seventh card, which is the outcome. And here we have the Queen of Wands. And there's a lot of wands in this. I'll address that in a moment. Now, I feel that this indicates that your practice that things will go well with your practice, but that you might have to move more away from the very structured and basically, yeah, but that's a good word, the very structured to a more free-floating practice. That you might become even more eclectic in your practice in the future. That your practice is filled with passion, and that passion is an important thing for you. That basically I think that we sort of move full circle here. We begin with a card that's very studious and ends with a card that is very passionate. So I think that you will move a little bit away from ritual magic, if that's what you practice, basically the ordered forms of things, and into a more intuitive, free-floating system, and that will be good for your spiritual development. All in all, though, I see a lot of light cards here. I think that you might sometimes feel a bit in the slumps. but that the situation around is really favorable for you, and that things will go very well with your spiritual work, your occult work, if you listen to that passion and harness it, but don't let yourself be completely controlled by it. Now, there are not too many major arcana cards here. There are only two. So I don't think there will be huge changes in your occult practice anytime soon. Of the of the lesser arcana cards, there are three cards that is um, staves, and that indicates that passion. That so yeah, I do think that you need that passion, but you need to harness it. So yeah, that is my reading. I'm just collecting up the cards again. So yeah, I do think that, sorry birds outside, that becoming even more eclectic and more basically harnessing that flexibility, that uh, spontaneous enthusiasm will be very good for your practice, and perhaps moving away from pure study. I'm not saying you just do pure study, but basically moving a bit away from study and more into practice will be very beneficial for you. Yeah, that's my reading. I hope you have enjoyed it. Have a great day, and blessed be.